up with money and offensive riches this offseason, which means the expectations are extremely high. In fact, the Baltimore Sun title said that the Ravens should win a title. The 2023 preview had big bets on Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham, and a revamped offense. So, is it Super Bowl or bust? James Jones.
Absolutely. You see what the organization did for Lamar Jackson this season, right? You go and you get Odell Beckham Jr. You say, you know what, we don't know if that's enough. We're going to draft a first-rounder in Zay Flowers. You already got Mark Andrews. You already got Rashad Bateman, right? You say, you know what, we're going to add a little depth. You're going to go get Nelson Aguilar, right? You got J.K. Dobbins in the backfield. They have everything that they need. And before they did all that, you said, you know what, we want to get the best out of Lamar Jackson. We want to see him throw this ball over the yard. So they went and they get Todd to be the offensive coordinator. Everything that they've done this offseason, including pay Lamar Jackson, was for him to go win a Super Bowl. I think it is time now for Lamar Jackson to get his team there and go win a Super Bowl. He has everything he needs. Even he comes out and says, I think I could throw for 6,000. Yeah. You know, even he's watching film saying, hey, we might need to add these plays in the plan, right? So I think he understands it. The Ravens understand it. But what they have done for him, from the coaching standpoint, from the player standpoint, I truly believe it is Super Bowl or bust for Lamar Jackson. He has to get his team there.
It's interesting. I would even think Lamar Jackson would say that. I would hope so. Yeah. I recall it was May of 2018 when Lamar got drafted. I think he was being interviewed by Deion Sanders, worked in media at the time, and he says, I'm going to bring a championship here to lead at.
Super Bowl out of me.
You're going to get a Super Bowl. The direct quote is literally, they're going to get a Super Bowl out of me, but lead at. So it's time. Mm-hmm. Like we've waited, mm-hmm. They have waited, truth be told, you know, the 4+ years. It is time now. Joe Flacco in his first 5 years in Baltimore, 3 conference championships, Super Bowl appearance, and a Super Bowl championship ring. Lamar has brought them a unanimous MVP. Well, truly, he's brought that to himself. That hardware will live in his home. Mm-hmm. I believe there needs to be hardware that will live in Baltimore for the entirety of the Ravens organization. James, you touched on it, but really you brought up the point even. He said he was going to throw for 6,000. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He said he wanted a new offensive coordinator. They gave him one. He said he wanted more wide receiver help. What's most mind-blowing to me, they paid Odell Beckham 3x the market value.
No doubt.
Odell Beckham said, his own words on social media, man, the greatest offer I'd had was $4 million. Ravens paid Odell up to $18 million. Said, you'll go get that. They went and got a guy out of college, Todd Monken, won back-to-back national championships at the University of Georgia as offensive coordinator, and made him the new offensive coordinator. You go and you make Nelson Aguilar your number 3 wide receiver. You draft another first-round pick at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. So they've given, and that's not even to mention Lamar Jackson making $80 million this year, more than any other player this year. That's not even to mention that, because that's irrelevant even compared to everything else. So that's where I stand. Bucky, where do you?
There's a thing in my house. My mom and dad used to say, no excuses, no explanations. I don't care what it looks like. I know when we tee it off in the middle of February, I better see the Baltimore Ravens playing, representing the AFC. Because when you pay Lamar Jackson the kind of money that you paid him, that's the expectation. Everyone in the building knows. Big money, jing-a-ling-a-ling, all that other stuff. He has it now. You said, oh, they can't throw it. They don't have any weapons. Look who he's throwing. Man, you talked about it. 4 first-rounders on the perimeter. You got a running back, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, who were great in the system previously with Lamar Jackson. Well, now Lamar Jackson has decided he wants to go from being a runner to a thrower. Okay. Be careful what you wish for. So now we're going to see if he can carry this team on the strength of his right arm. And so I would expect him to get to the Super Bowl, because otherwise it's an abject failure. He has to take this team to the Super Bowl, given the money and all of the transactions that have taken place. Otherwise, it all comes back on him.
Yeah, and that's a good problem to have, right? Isn't it a good thing to be in the conversation for Super Bowl or bust?
No doubt. It's a great
That's how
problem
I want
to
to come into a season. I don't want to come into a season like, man, if we win a playoff game, like, woo, we're going to be flossing. Trying to go to the Super Bowl. That should be the... It is. There are teams I can list right now. We're not going to do it. We're not going to shade y'all. But if you win a playoff game, it is fantastic. It's a great season. That's not going to be the case for Lamar. Lamar is a unanimous MVP. All the things that you said are true. The expectations should be Super Bowl or bust. But for me, there are a lot of teams on that list of Super Bowl or bust, and we know only one team can win the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, if you make it to the Super Bowl, we don't consider that to be a failure of a season, even if the expectations are you should win a Super Bowl, because we know how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl. But the list is long for me this year. It just is. If we're going to use the criteria that we've applied to Lamar Jackson for it being Super Bowl or bust, it's got to be Super Bowl or bust for Dallas. It's got to be Super Bowl bust for the Chargers. It's got to be Super Bowl or bust for the Jets.
Well,
The Bengals.
Yeah.
The Browns.
Around here, yeah.
The Bills. The Eagles.
Yeah.
And we know the Chiefs don't even have to have this conversation because we expect them to be there every single year.
Niners, too. Don't forget the Niners. Niners got to be in there.
Niners.
So don't forget them.
Don't forget them.
I'll
Don't
say
forget them.
that.
Trey Lance.
I
in there.
know, yeah, all right. I'll submit, but they don't. Actually, the reason why I don't have the Niners on this list is a very specific reason, because we constantly bring up money, and they don't have a highly paid quarterback. So to me, if you're going to pay the quarterback that money, you're going to invest in them by drafting all these players, bringing in free agents, submitting to their requests, changing offensive coordinators, all of those things. If you're going to build around an organizational face of the organization, franchise quarterback player, and pay him, then you should be in the conversation of Super Bowl or bust.
You bring up a great point, James. I'm going to come to you on this one because I put the Jets, Rodgers, and Lamar in a category probably different than every other team that Joy mentioned. And here's why. If you make specific requests as a leader of an organization, you better deliver. If a CEO says, hey, I want this. If an executive producer says, I want that. If a director of a film crew says, I want this person to be my lead actor, this person to be my lead actress, I want this person to be my supporting, I want this person to be the director of photography. If you make all of these specific requests, so much so that you start taking on general manager power, so much so that you start taking on head coaching power, now to whom much is given, much is required. Aaron Rodgers has done that. Oh, you want Lazard here? Oh, you want Randall Cobb here? Oh, you gonna give money back? Oh, okay. You better win. Lamar Jackson has done that. Even more so than I would say Justin Herbert, more so than I would say Dak Prescott, more so than I would say Patrick Mahomes, more so than I would say Joe Burrow, though you could say they got Jamar Chase because of Joe Burrow, more so than I would say Deshaun Watson. If you gonna say you want all these people and we are going to submit, oh, you better give me some in return.
And not only that, what's the knock on those two you just mentioned, the Aaron Rodgers and the, Lamar Jackson?
Postseason.
Playoffs. You got me? They ain't got it done. Aaron ain't got it done in the last 6 years. Aaron ain't been to a Super Bowl since 2000. That's the knock on him. All the great stuff, the Hall of Fame career he's put together, that's the knock. The unanimous MVPs, everything Lamar has accomplished in this league, that's the first thing they go to, right? So we gave you all these pieces, including coaches, including big contract. It is time for you to deliver for us to get us to the Super Bowl and win one. It is about 5 teams that is right now saying, if we don't win the Super Bowl, it is a failure, right? It ain't no we win 2 playoff games with Lamar Jackson or win 2 playoff games with Aaron Rodgers and woo, it was a successful season. No, it's not. If the Chiefs don't win a Super Bowl, it's not a successful season. If the Jets don't win one, the Ravens don't win one, the Bengals, it's teams in there like that if you don't win one, it is not a successful season. It is a failure. And that is what we're talking about for Lamar Jackson. If you don't get to that Super Bowl and win one, it is a failure of the season with everything they have given you this offseason, including the bread.
Oh, he stepped into that LeBron James category.
Yeah.
Because that's how we're judging him. We're judging, if you're going to be an all-timer, we're going to judge on that. It's great that you got MVP and all that other stuff, but now we talk about rings and things. He got the money, so now we need to see the rings. 1-3 in the postseason. Well, it's the offensive coordinator. We don't have this in the fall. Okay, cool. We ain't got any playmakers on the outside. Everything has been swapped around. So now it's all on number 8. He has to not only get them there, but I would say he has to be the reason why they're there. He has to be the guy that plays at an MVP level to get this offense and this team there, because the defense won't be there. Because remember, the Ravens have always been a defensive-led organization. They're flipping their complete identity in the name of Lamar Jackson. Oh, it's on him.
Now, I will say, when it comes to the Jets and when it comes to the Ravens, because it is an interesting perspective to say that they have more pressure because of what they've asked for. But I would say that these two teams have the most questions on paper going into it as well. They have made a lot of moves. They have moved a bunch of things around. Are we sure that those things that they've moved around that weren't even requests of theirs are actually going to be good? Are actually going to work? Are actually going to play to the level of the 4 first-round picks on the outside? On paper, on the headlines, all those things sound great. But we know the Ravens have been trying to get him help. They've been drafting and they've been doing all the right things, except for those players aren't panning out the way that they are saying that they're doing, which is not Lamar Jackson's fault. So while those two, and the same thing goes for the Jets as well. Aaron didn't have anything to do with that offensive line. That was the organization's doing. So there are factors for both of those players that I would say we don't know what these teams are actually going to look like. Whereas the Chiefs, the Browns, the Bills, the Chargers, even the Bengals, we